Over the past 25 years, LEGO has made over 900 LEGO Star Wars sets, and a lot of those sets are remakes of the same ship or location. There's a lot of remakes that we really like, there's a lot of remakes that really disappointed us, and there's sets that are, well, still awaiting to be remade. But in this video, I want to talk about the LEGO Star Wars remakes that were unnecessary, the ones that nobody asked for and just seemingly wasted space that could have been used for a different set. I have a total of 8 separate sets picked out on this list, and before I get into it, I have to say that just because we did not want these sets does not mean they are bad sets. Most of, if not all of the sets on this list are actually pretty good. Just at the time of their release, they were not necessarily what we preferred and what we were asking for. Anyways though, starting off with the number 8 spot, this pick might be a bit controversial because this set just released and so far it's been one of the best sets of 2024, being 75379 R2-D2. And again, this set is no doubt one of the best sets that has been released this year so far. It's $100, it actually feels like it's worth its retail price, it's a very good build, it looks really accurate, super detailed, and on top of all of that, it comes with that incredible Darth Malik minifigure for the anniversary. Although despite this set being really good, when it first got announced or when the rumor first kind of surfaced, people were not very happy that we were getting a remake of another buildable R2-D2. And the reason is because, well, there's actually still currently a buildable R2-D2 from 2021 that is still on shelves right now. And yes, it is set to retire in December of this year, 2024, but a lot of people, myself included, just thought that it was unnecessary for us to get another buildable R2-D2, and especially have 2 separate ones on shelves at the same time. Although the reason I put this at the back of the list, again, is because it's a really great set, and 2, because it kind of gets a pass because it was made to pair with the UCS Chewbacca or buildable Chewbacca from last year, and of course the buildable C-3PO from this year, which make a really great trio. So if Chewbacca and C-3PO had not been released to, you know, pair with this set, I definitely wouldn't be giving it as much grace, but it seems like that's kind of the reason that they did this and made another buildable R2-D2 even though we already had one on shelves. Next up, I have a set that was pretty controversial when it released, but by this point most of you guys have probably forgotten about it, being 75205 Mos Eisley Cantina. And like I said, most of you guys have probably forgotten about this set, which is honestly the theme throughout this whole entire video, and even hence the thumbnail where I put the word irrelevant, because usually when a set gets an unnecessary remake, people really don't pay much attention to it besides when it initially releases. And that's the case with this set. We were pretty much hot off the heels of the 2014 Mos Eisley Cantina, which is widely regarded to be a very good set, and it retired on December 31st of 2015, and then just about only 2 years later, on January 1st of 2018, we get another Mos Eisley Cantina, and it's honestly significantly worse. And at the time, this caused a lot of drama because the 2014 one was bigger, it was $70, had a pretty fleshed out build, a dewback and a land speeder, and 8 unique minifigures to just make, you know, a full playset cantina. And then this one was $40 with a much smaller build and only 4 minifigures, with its only highlight really being that white pod spaceship thing. I forgot what it's called, but that's really the only thing unique about this set. But anyway, back in 2018 when this got released, people were pretty upset because we did not need another cantina, and even worse, it was just not as good as the one that had just retired. Moving on to the number 6 spot, I have a set that all of you guys were probably expecting to be on this list because it gets memed a lot for literally being remade so much, which is of course 75271 Luke Skywalker's land speeder from 2020. And the reason this one was unnecessary was because we literally had just gotten one in 2017, and that 2017 model did not retire until December 31st of 2018, so there was only about a year, and then look, we have another Luke's land speeder on shelves again. And at the time, again, it just felt kind of unneeded, although it does kind of get a pass because it is such an iconic ship and one of the ones that LEGO sort of always wants to have on shelves. But I mean, it's no X-Wing, it's no TIE Fighter, those sets really always have to be on shelves. This is one that we can, you know, go a few years without. Although in the late 2010s, or I guess the beginning of 2020, LEGO did not think this, and they immediately remade one only a year later after the 2017 model retired. Although what I kind of find funny about this is that people always meme this set for being remade so much, because we got this one in 2020, and then obviously the one before in 2017, and then there was one in the 2014 Mos Eisley Cantina, and there was also one in 2010, so that's why people meme it for being remade so much. Although ironically, this is the last playset Luke's land speeder they've made. I mean, obviously they made the UCS one, but we haven't gotten a Playscale one in 4 years at this point, which will most likely be 5 years in a few months. So I just find it kind of funny that people still meme this set for being remade so much when we at this point haven't really had a remake in quite a while. Up next at the number 5 spot, I have another set from 2018 and another set that you guys most likely forgotten about, being 75220 Hero Sandcrawler. And the reason this one was unnecessary is kind of for the same reason that Mos Eisley was unnecessary, and that was because we were pretty much right off the heels of the 2014 UCS Sandcrawler, that to this day is widely considered to be one of the best LEGO Star Wars sets ever made. The model is very impressive, and it has a massive fleshed out minifigure lineup with a bunch of unique droids and Jawas and Luke Skywalker and Uncle Owen. It was one of the best sets ever made, and it retired on December 31st of 2016, and then only about 2.5 years later, on August 1st of 2018, LEGO decided to give us a playscale model that was significantly worse and overpriced. It was $140, which would not sound like a lot today, but back then in 2018, it did feel really overpriced to the community, and that made a lot of people upset. And on top of that, it only had 6 minifigures, and none of them were very unique. It didn't even have Uncle Owen. And on top of that, the Sandcrawler itself just doesn't look the greatest. It's a bit goofy because its proportions are kind of off, and for LEGO to drop this set only 2.5 years after the UCS model and make it significantly worse was just unnecessary. And at the time, the community just wasn't really the happiest about this set, and since then, people have forgotten about it. And speaking of sets everyone has forgot about, up next at the number 4 spot, I have a set that I often forget is in my own collection, being 75142 Homing Spider Droid. I remember at the time when this set released back in 2016, it just felt so random and out of place compared with the other sets that year besides the Turbo Tank. But the Turbo Tank actually made sense because we hadn't gotten a Kashyyyk Turbo Tank since 2005. But this Homing Spider Droid is a bit of a different situation because we had just gotten one in 2013, which ended up retiring on December 31st of 2014, and then about exactly a year and 1 day later, on January 1st of 2016, we got another one. So I guess at the time, LEGO thought that we could not go more than 1 year without a Homing Spider Droid on shelves. And just like some of the other sets on this list, this one is worse in my opinion than the one that came before it. The build is pretty much exactly the same. The only difference is that there's a giant stud shooter cannon on the bottom. The 2013 one had a better minifigure lineup in my opinion because it had Stas Ali as well as a Phase 1 clone trooper and 2 super battle droids. And the 2016 one just had a Kashyyyk trooper, which was very common at the time, as well as Yoda and 2 normal B1 battle droids. So really, they made a remake that was almost exactly the same as the one that came before it, just besides a little gun on the bottom, and they made the minifigure lineup a little bit worse. And back in 2016, this set just really didn't make sense. The only reason I can assume that LEGO made this was because they wanted some type of separatist set to pair with the Turbo Tank that came out in 2016, but other than that, this set was pretty much just unneeded and nobody wanted this. Up next at the number 3 spot, I have a set that has been getting a lot of hate over the past year, being 75360 Yoda's Jedi Starfighter from 2023. Now, I actually think this set gets too much hate because it was so unwanted, and I agree, nobody wanted this. The last one came out in 2017 and retired in 2018, and yes, there was a 5-year gap, which is definitely enough time for a remake. I just don't think anyone was really dying to get their hands on a new Yoda's Jedi Interceptor. But like I was saying, I think this set actually gets too much hate. Besides being overpriced, the build is actually really good and a noticeable upgrade from the 2016 model, but no matter how good they made this build, just nobody really wanted this set to be remade. There's an interview with the LEGO design team from Solid Brick Studios, and they actually discussed this a little bit, and they just say that they wanted to make a set with Yoda and that Starfighter sells, so they just put the two together. But I personally think that was just kind of a lazy approach to this. There could have been many other sets that would have sold well to include Yoda in. One that would have been really cool would have been Yoda's escape pod from episode 3 where he leaves Kashyyyk. I think that would have been a great maybe $30 or $25 set, but instead we just got a remake that nobody really wanted. And I remember last year in 2023, people were complaining that this set was just taking up and wasting space, and now in 2024, people are honestly just already kind of forgetting about it and not buying it. Anyways though, moving on to the number 2 spot, I have a set that got an insane amount of backlash back when it initially released, being 75159 Death Star from 2016. And you know, it's been 8 years. I think the controversy for this set is pretty much non-existent at this point, especially since it's retired now. But back when it released, holy crap, the community was like a war zone going after this set. So the 2008 Death Star is arguably the most iconic LEGO Star Wars set, really the most iconic LEGO set ever made, and it was on shelves for almost 8 years, from September 1st, 2008 to December of 2015. And in 2015, this set was so insanely popular and had been on shelves for so long that the community was kind of like, you know, it's time to put this set to rest. It's been on shelves for literally 8 years. But then just about 10 months later, in October of 2016, LEGO caught everyone off guard and released another one that had only 200 more pieces, was noticeably not much different than the 2008 one, and costed $100 more. And again, at the time, people were just hating on this set so much. They were hating on it because it was $500 instead of $400. They were hating on it because to the untrained eye, it wasn't any different from the 2008 model. And they were hating on it because no one asked for a remake immediately after the 2008 one had been on shelves for 8 years. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad set in any way. In hindsight, after this set has retired, I think it actually was kind of a good choice for LEGO to put this set back on shelves because this one was also insanely popular. But for the sake of the title of this video, at the time when this set released, nobody wanted it and everyone was hating on this thing. And then finally making our way to the #1 spot, the most unnecessary and unwanted remake in my opinion, is actually a set that I personally really love and is one of my favorite sets in my collection. But I have to be objective, and I can't lie, nobody, even myself, wanted this set to be remade so soon. And it's 75355 X-Wing Starfighter. And like I said, I personally really like this set. It's without a doubt the best X-Wing, including UCS and playset X-Wings that LEGO has ever made. I mean, it's such a gorgeous display piece. LEGO did a phenomenal job on it. However, nobody wanted this set to be remade so soon. And in fact, it's the only UCS set to have 3 models. The first one obviously came out in 2000, the second one in 2013, and then this one in 2023. And unlike playsets, UCS sets like this usually need a good hefty amount of time before they're remade, like more than 10 years. And I remember back in early 2023, there was kind of a lot of skepticism going around and predictions of what the May 4th UCS set was going to be, and the identity of this set ended up leaking kind of later than the other sets for the year did, and everyone was just so disappointed. They were like, oh, the May set's just another UCS X-Wing, what the heck? And I think that alone has caused a lot of bias against this set and honestly really hurt its sales. And again, like I've already said a few times and like I've said countless times in other videos, I love this set. I think it looks gorgeous, but despite how much I like it, I cannot deny that everyone, including myself, did not want this to be remade so soon. And that's why I put it at the #1 spot, because honestly, I cannot think of another set that was as unnecessary as this one was. Anyways guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Let me know what you think about my list down in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, using the link screen right now.